Cold Friday afternoon, November of 2009. You just got out of school, without a care in the world, you fire up that Xbox 360, pray you don't get the red rings of death, and get to business. You're greeted by this absolute banger of a menu theme. It's time to play one of the greatest Call of Duties of all time. Modern Warfare 2 is the sixth installment in this game's series, and it really couldn't have come out at a better time. In 2009, we see multiplayer shooters become more and more popular with the success of titles like Halo, Gears of War. Before this, games were mostly single-player experiences, right? Multiplayer really only existed if you had your friends, or you had siblings, or your younger cousin came over. And yeah, you'd give him the shitty Mad Catz controller. And yeah, that was fair because his hands were covered in Cheeto dust. You think I'm gonna let him touch my nice GameCube controller? No shot. Popular titles on the original Xbox did really well, and if you were a super gamer god and you had internet access on your GameCube, you'd type essays on one of these bad boys. But for most people, their introduction into online gaming was through the Xbox 360. Played Modern Warfare 2, you know why I'm hyping this up, but if you weren't able to play this game in its heyday, let me fill you in a little bit. Modern Warfare 2 really changed the way Call of Duty multiplayers worked. You still had all the same typical game modes like free-for-all, search and destroy, team deathmatch. You had a slew of good weapons like the ACR, which was a literal laser beam, UMP, the FAMAS, the intervention. Literally every gun in this game was good, with the exception of the F2000. You had a whole list of different perks allowing you to play the game really however you wanted. So you want to sneak behind the enemy team, you go ahead and rock with a silenced UMP, Marathon, Cold-Blooded, Ninja. You want to run around like Rambo and knife literally everyone? Go ahead and rock with any pistol with the tack knife, Marathon, Lightweight, Commando. You want to try your absolute hardest while breaking a sweat? Just go ahead and use the ACR. You're good. Modern Warfare 2 had some other customizable stuff like the titles and the call signs, but the major change to Modern Warfare 2 was the kill streaks. You know, in prior Call of Duties, you had the typical UAV, airstrike, and then you had the chopper or dogs, depending on if you're playing COD 4 or World at War. But in Modern Warfare 2, there's a whole list of new kill streaks that you could customize to really tailor to how you wanted to play the game, or what game mode you're playing. You know, in Search and Destroy, you don't get a lot of kills. You probably rock with, you know, a UAV, a counter UAV, and a Predator missile. Say you're playing Capture the Flag, you can go ahead and rock with a UAV, Harrier, and a Pavlo, so you can still run around and do the objective while your airstrikes are taking people out. That was all fun, but there's one particular kill streak that got added to Modern Warfare 2 that really changed the game entirely, and this was the Tactical Nuke. For those of you that don't know, the Tactical Nuke was a 25 kill streak, and if you called it in, the game would end. Yeah, you could just end the game with a kill streak. So if you were playing and you heard this, you knew shit was over. I'm gonna backtrack a bit, but the one thing you have to understand about this era of gaming was that people were fucking ruthless online. You really couldn't enter a lobby without somebody telling you they either want to fuck your mom or calling you some sort of slur. I know it's kind of a meme to say, oh, these kids wouldn't last a day in Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, but the shit was brutal. So as a 13-year-old kid in the online streets of Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, when you have some 24-year-old telling you to suck his dick, there's no chance you're gonna win an argument with your squeaky voice. There's just no shot. You have one option and one option only. Absolutely destroy this piece of shit in a game. There's no better way to humiliate some online clown than to drop a nuke against them. Truly one of the best feelings. The Tactical Nuke was the biggest flex in gaming at the time. You know, sure, you could get all the achievements in campaign against the AI, but did you ever drop a nuke against some online neckbeards? Truly the greatest gaming feat of all time. MW2 turned 13-year-old boys into men. My balls dropped when I got my first nuke, and that's not even a bit for this video. That's the truth. Aside from kill streaks, Modern Warfare 2 had some iconic maps, you know, Terminal, Scrapyard, Estate, High Rise. I could go on and on. The phrase 1v1 me on Rust just shows how iconic some of the maps in the game were. Like, that's still used to this day. Just looking at the loading images of these maps triggers so many good memories. Taking over the cave on Afghan, getting to the top of the building on High Rise, holding down the Estate on, you guessed it, Estate, getting spawn tubed on Wasteland. I guess we gotta talk about noob tubes. I guess that's where we gotta go right now. So in addition to all the guns in this game, there are also gun attachments. You know, you think of red dot sights, silencers, stuff like that. One particular attachment, the grenade launcher, more commonly referred to as the noob tube, was lethal in conjunction with two specific perks. The first perk I'm talking about is Danger Close. Danger Close gave all your explosives an additional 40% of damage, which is truly insane considering that the grenade launcher was already a one-shot kill. The second perk I'm talking about was a perk called One Man Army. Now, One Man Army was neat because it allowed you to change classes while you were alive, and this was different from every other Call of Duty because you'd have to die in order to respawn and change your class. What Infinity Ward didn't predict were people switching to the same class over and over again to refresh the 2 grenade launchers that you'd start with. This led to one of the most broken, overpowered, and low skill ceiling strats that's ever been in any Call of Duty. When people talk about this game, this always gets brought up, and yeah, it was extremely annoying, and people would do it all the time, but I don't think that that really detracted from this game's experience. Maybe I'm looking back through my magical nostalgia goggles right now, but Modern Warfare 2 really had so many options for fun. Let me play a clip for you. Let's see if you've heard this before.
Oh my god! Oh!
Yeah, that's right. We haven't even gotten to trick shotting. We haven't even gotten into montages. You know these big esports titans like Optic and FaZe? Did you know they started out as small teams with YouTube channels that would upload trick shots? There was a whole specific section of players who would purely play Modern Warfare 2 just to go for 6 sniper clips and get insane game-winning kill cams and search and destroy. Look at this shit. Kids these days would never know what a dazzle is. They don't know the struggle that we had to go through. This was something like no other. You know, this was a way for players to express their creativity by doing dope stunts off the crane of high rise or off the plane on Afghan. No matter how much or how little Call of Duty you played, when you see some of these clips, you can't help but appreciate how insane they truly are. A suicide throwing knife that traveled across the map? An iconic tack knife flip? What about a silence shot? What about watching all these things again but with a sick Linkin Park riff? There's so many cool things people were doing in Modern Warfare 2, I feel like I can make a whole video on trickshotting alone. There's people who still trickshot today. The impact trickshotting had on gaming and YouTube was wild. In 2021, FaZe Clan was valued at $305 million. 300 fucking million. For a team that started off by spinning around with sniper rifles in a video game. Truly insane. If you haven't started to appreciate this game already, let's keep going. Custom lobbies. I remember spending so much time with my friends back in the day doing all kinds of random stuff like 1v1 quickscopes, hide and seek, cops and robbers, Michael Myers. Those are just a couple of the game modes I play with my friends. I'm sure there's so many more that I didn't have a chance to play. The best part about multiplayer games at this time was that you could replay them over and over again and have a different experience every time. And that still holds up today. This game also carried on the torch from other competitive shooters, and with Call of Duty's rise in popularity, we sort of see a blend of casual and competitive players start to mix a little bit. At this point in online gaming, most people are playing on CRT TVs or shitty plasma TVs that would explode after 45 minutes of playing. With these games starting to become more and more popular and people looking into becoming better, people go out and start to buy monitors. I remember BenQ was a really popular brand, still is today. People are going out and buying headsets. You know, having a pair of Turtle Beaches was insane back in the day, just to listen for footsteps. You know, before this, people weren't taking games that seriously, and this really started to shift the way people kind of looked at video games, right? I can remember times when I was a kid where I'd get teased for playing games or whatever, and at this point, in 2009, video games are starting to become a more popular thing with everyone, you know? Everybody had an Xbox 360 or a PS3, and everybody would play Modern Warfare 2 because of how popular it was at the time. And so if you played and liked that, it started to be looked at as something that wasn't nerdy. Before esports was a popular term, companies like MLG existed and hosted tournaments. And we see being good at video games start to be looked at something that's actually a redeeming quality and not a waste of time. I know PC shooters like Quake and Counter-Strike are popping off, but what I'm saying is that this blend of competitive and casual gamers start to mix a little bit. And I think that Modern Warfare 2 was a really big reason for that. You know, if we look at the most popular online games now, you look at games like League of Legends, Dota, Valorant, stuff like that. All of those games have a competitive feature built into them. And those are some of the most popular games that are played. You know, before the games that we have now, competitive was something that you had to go elsewhere for, right? We had websites like Game Battles or UMG just to scratch that competitive itch. All in all, Modern Warfare 2 meant a lot to me. It was really my first taste at an online multiplayer game, and I think it goes down as one of the greatest Call of Duties of all time. There are people still playing it to this day, actually. There's a mod for the game called IW4X that uses the Modern Warfare 2 engine that has updated guns and maps from other Call of Duties, and I think you should check it out if you're interested. I'll put a link to it in the description. If you made it this far in the video, I'd love to hear about why you enjoyed Modern Warfare 2 down in the comments. If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe. I play games live on Twitch. I'll put that down in the description. All my social medias will be down there. If you care to know when I'm going live, follow me on Twitter. I love you, and thanks for watching.